Hello, good evening, and welcome to IMU Virtual Postgraduate Info Week. With us today, we have three panelists that are going to share with you on our forum, My Journey Becoming a Counselor. I'm Dr. Fu, the moderator for these talk sessions. Please allow me to make some housekeeping rules. First, we have muted the microphone for all attendees. Second, if you have any question or feedbacks, you can use the Q&A panel. And lastly, this live webinar will be recorded. Okay, I'm blessed to have my three panelists with me here today. First, I have Mr. Kenny, a colleague of mine, and then also two alumni from our inaugural Master of Counseling MC120 cohort. Yes, okay. So let me introduce you them one by one. First is Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny is a lecturer in the Psychology Department at International Medical University. He's a registered counselor under the Board of Counselor in Malaysia and have practiced as a counselor since 2017. In his practice, he works with different populations such as refugee, at-risk children, and individuals who experience traumatic events. He also offers supervisions to counselor and trainee counselors. Our second speaker for today, we have Ms. Tan Suwen. Okay, Suwen is a master degree holder, graduated from our IMU counseling program. With a psychology background as a foundation, so she pursued her interest in counseling as a means to provide medical health support for those in need. She is passionate about promoting mental health awareness through creative approaches, and while also bring a sense of human touch to assist a client in forming the alliances as they journey together throughout the exploration process. Okay, and thirdly, I have Miss Joy Lee. Miss Joy Lee is also graduate from a Master of Counseling intake. Unlike Suwen, she's come from a non-mental health background and spent 10 years in corporate career in communication, digital marketing, e-commerce, before deciding to adorn ahead as a full-time student with IMU. She is currently awaiting her registration and licensing with the Board of Counselor Malaysia and look forward to embark on her journey as a counselor to support young adults in their transition to adulthood, as well as with those older person and to support better care for the elderly community. Yes, thank you for being with us today here again to our panelists here and the audience. Okay, let me start our forum today with my first question to you. Okay, my first question is, can you tell me about, what are the moments or the experience that led you to become a counselor? Maybe we can start with Mr. Kenny first.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Fu, and nice to meet you, Joy and Suwen as well. That's actually quite a long time that I have to recall, and then I guess, for me, I think I don't really have a very specific moments that I could recall, at least for now, that lead me to become a counselor. But I guess it's rather like a series of encounters, like an influence of movies talking about mental health, experience of humans and mind, all those sciences that actually draw me to kind of have this interest into psychology. That's actually the first pathway that get me to where I am right now. So I started with learning about psychology, and then I wanted to use this knowledge not only by me knowing how human brain or human mind working, but I also wanted to use this knowledge to kind of help others people. So I guess that is where it kind of led me to who I am right now, of becoming a counselor, is to use my knowledge to help people. So yeah, I guess that's how I ended up becoming a counselor.
So you started from a movies, your experience with human, and then with the Bachelor of Psychology, and then further on counseling itself.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's the story from Mr. Kenny. Let us hear from Suwen now. Suwen, what about yours?
For me, I believe at the first place when I enroll into this program, right, I don't really have a very strong ideas that I want to be a counselor in the future. So before I ended up here, I was a psychology graduate in IMU. And then after I finished my bachelor's, I was wondering what do I really want to do after that. So most of my peers now were either in a corporate settings or either enroll into clinical psychology. So me back then, I wasn't really interested in both of it. So I took some time off to take up some part-time jobs and then slowly figuring out what do I really want to do. So in my part-time job back then, although it's not really psychology related, but it somehow sparks my interest towards counseling. So the first one is I became a tuition teacher. And then during that time, across I think almost 9 months of being a teacher there, I realized that um, providing academic support is not really something that uh, uh, is deep enough for me to develop interest. My as I recall back the 9 months there, right? The most enjoyable moments that I spend with the kids is actually after my own class with them. So I have some time to uh, bond deeper with them, and then I realize, oh, I enjoy observing their behaviors and understand from their perspective, speaking their language and then understand them in a deeper sense. So that is actually something, as I recall back, it's really prompt me to enroll into this program. And another part-time work that I did was pet sitter. So pet sitter is similar with babysitter, but I babysit pets. So this is a relatively new work. So when I started to do that, I realized that because pets, they cannot speak human, they sometimes they might not understand our language even. So through my part-time work as a pet sitter, I realized that sometimes bonding can be formed in a very meaningful meaning, especially when there's no language are able to be involved in this whole connection. So through the process, I realized forming a meaningful bond actually sometimes can be beyond language, and meaningful connection doesn't really just happens. It needs to develop across time and also related to the trust within both parties. And this also takes time too. And by having these two jobs, I realized that I enjoy being someone to observe other people or non-human as well, and also how to be patient in providing care to other parties. So after the few months of break that I had, MCO hits and IMU announced this program. So I am happy to join as a first batch together with Joy, and I never regret since then. Yeah, that's my overall journey.
So from the exploration, the 9-month exploration actually helps you to understand yourself and your interests more, in the sense that actually what's more meaningful to you is the bonding with the human. And it's beyond words. I think that's where you're mentioning about your creative, your preference on using creative approaches that really comes in. It's not only the words itself, but it's also on the creative and different way of making connection with other people.
Yes.
So you seem to really enjoy, in counseling, we often talk about the deep relationship with client. So that's actually what's, I get to give you meanings of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Suwen. Okay, now let's hear from Joy.
Hi, everyone. So Suwan took 9 months. I took 9 years to explore. Yeah, so a little bit different to Suwan, like just now in the introduction. Myself, I don't come from a mental health background. In fact, I spent 10 years working and trying to, I guess, trying to find my fit in the corporate world. And I think it was my experience in those 9 years of working, and really everything was good. in terms of where I was, the opportunities I had, the people that I was working with, the people that I could meet, everything was good. But the only thing that was not good was how I was feeling. Yeah, so it took me a long time, honestly, to finally come to this place, to have come to that place where I decided that I tried long enough, and that I could come to the realization that I don't think I could ever be happy if I stayed the course, and if I just continue to just try and just I guess ride the boat. Yeah. So the good thing is I did have the opportunity to talk with some family, and it wasn't so easy actually, the whole talk, because not everybody was supportive. But I'm very thankful for those who were supportive, and at some point I was able to muster enough courage to, and maybe also I was tired enough lah. Yeah, so to muster enough courage to quit, put everything behind me and take a step into looking or finding something that's more meaningful for me. And in that time when I was deliberating, I did think about certain things. I was wondering, like I wanted to help people. I wanted to work with people. And so I was even looking at things like speech therapists, things like that. And in my exploration, but at the same time, my exploration, I felt like, there are certain studies that didn't quite interest me as much. And when I knew counseling was an avenue, because I don't come from a mental health background, I also considered psychology, looked at it, whether I can go in or not. But because I don't come from a mental health background, I had that limitation. But when I learned that counseling allowed people from different degrees, varying backgrounds to come in, then I knew that, there's the opportunity. And I was actually excited. I felt excited. And I looked at the subjects and I was interested. Yeah. So I felt in a way that I guess I hadn't felt for a long time in those 9 years. Yeah. So that was how I went into it, came into IMU, after looking at a few other options also. And like Suwan, never regretted it really. And I'm at the end of the day, if I don't become a counselor for, the rest of my life, this has still been a very, very, how do I put it, significant experience. Yeah.
Seems like, it take 9 years for you to reach here, they give you a more meaningful for your future years that coming ahead. Yeah, and this is something that actually give you the chance, something that you're passionate in doing. Yeah, and it seems to me that you actually enjoy really a lot, the study in IMU. Yeah, can you
Yeah.
actually tell us more about that?
Right. Yeah, I did have I didn't know what to expect, honestly. I really didn't know what to expect in going into it. I know I knew about the subject a little bit, but I didn't quite know what to expect. But I also have some pictures. Maybe I can go through to just give everybody an idea of what it was like. At least you can envision a little bit. So
Sorry, give me a minute. Let me go through there.
yeah, so then maybe like to just give an idea, I felt like the whole experience was very experiential actually. And that is the main thing that I if I could sum it up in one word, is that it's very experiential. The learnings and all involve me experiencing, involved us experiencing, and also us working on ourselves. So there was a lot of personal processing. And I think that was how it started. At least that was the way I see it. Maybe Suan can chime in afterwards and share about her experiences. But for me, it started with a lot of personal processing. What you see at the top was an assignment that we had. It was called My Life So Far. And Dr. Fu, please stop me if I'm going on a bit too long.
All right.
Yeah. So it's something about my life so far. So that actually was a very it was the first time that I actually, at a singular point, looked at my entire life so far. And actually, there was a lot of realization and self-awareness that came out of it, and being able to see what has actually happened. Yeah. But basically, there was a lot of first times in this course, a lot of first time of doing expressive arts, first time of looking at your life in a very deep way. Yeah, first time of getting experiencing creative interventions, and even for me also the first time of like counseling. Yeah. And eventually, of course, it also went on to other things. We had also some next slide, which then went into, sorry, Dr. Fu, the next slide, went into a bit more of group work, group processing, yeah, doing a lot of assignments, like even conducting our first public psychoeducation. So a lot of first time challenges. So there was a lot of growth, yeah, a lot of experiences, a lot of growth, and a lot of things that I never imagined that I'd be doing also. Yeah.
A lot of new experiences, you are saying.
Yes. Yeah.
And you get to experience that different opportunity that actually comes in.
Yeah.
You also mentioned about the self-exploration. Actually, that's actually gives you a more holistic understanding about you yourself.
Pardon, sorry?
You're also mentioning about, the self-explorations.
Oh, self-exploration, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is something that helpful and useful for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, how about Suan?
So for me, actually, just now, if you allow me to elaborate from my points earlier, before I signed up with IMU Master of Counseling program, I actually went through a different universities, and what brings IMU courses is more attractive to me is because of one of the electives that I've seen, which is expressive arts and community art. This is something that I didn't see from my research back then. I didn't see it in other way. Which is also something that prompts me to sign up with IMU again. So if you can share some of the photos, it is mainly about the tools that we have been using related to counseling. Yes. So most of the photos that you can see here is actually related to arts. So expressive art is something that after I experience it deeper, I find that it's very close to me. And since then, even in my internship or practicum semester, I also utilize a lot of creative ways in helping my clients to uncover their stories and feel rewarding from there, or feel being the whole growing process with this a more creative way, I could put it that way. Because personally, I gain a lot from using all the tools here, and I find comfortable in using it for other people. So these are some of the activities that we experience it by ourselves before we know how to use it on other people. And the next slide will be an overall experience of my internship and practicum semester, which is the time that we are developed enough to provide to others. So here are some of the retreats that we did, which is a session to prepare us before we embark into the outside world, and also some internship project that I done. You can see there's a cat there. It's projects related to pets as well, and also community art, which is the picture that everyone is wearing a mask. So all these things are very special to me, and I never imagined myself before I enroll into this program that I can do so much and I can provide so much. So this is an overall of my 2 years journey, but of course it's more than just a few photos, but this is the essence that I can gather for these sessions. Yeah, this is our class photo. No, the class photo is behind. This one is another events that we did together with Damen Unit, Damen Mall, and we provide those experiential activities to the publics and invite them to learn more about counseling and explore some of their perspective towards counseling, and we can help them to understand better through all these experiential activities.
So it seems very fun that, you have different tools, not only cards. I see just now like a book casing,
Sorry?
different thing that you have a group of people that wearing masks,
Mm,
the mask.
yeah.
It is like self-making mask, that you're lying on the floor. I don't know what's happened in it, but I guess you'll have some fun and meaningful exploration, understanding about yourself and also the peers around you. And you have mentioned not only you do this within IMU campus, but you actually go out to some more project site to conduct as well.
Mm.
Not only with human, I see like you mentioned, the cats is there as well.
Yeah.
So it's part of the whole ecosystem is there.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let me come back here. If you were to summarize, your learning in IMU in 3 adjectives, how would you use?
Good question. Let me think. The first word that pops out in my mind will be evolve. I see
Evolve.
myself, grow throughout these short 2 years, but I see a lot of growth in me, in both personal and also professionally. Yeah. So
Evolve.
it's like a summary, not summary. The essence of 2 years is hard to be described in just 3 words. So
too much, how do I say, new things that you have learned, and also the growth that you have mentioned. It's really beyond words.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that through these 2 years, I have lecturers and also peer support, and allow me to evolve in this comfort zone, and then I'm prepared well enough to embark into the outside world.
So the space itself, I think, is a safe place for you to learn, to practice, and then also, I guess you're mentioning about the bonding between your peer. That's actually something that, I don't know, is a driver that actually helps you to go through this learning together. Like I can see, in the pictures that, although with mask, some of it, but it's a smiley face, you can see the eyebrow,
Yeah, that's peer support is definitely something very important throughout this 2 years journey, because we are all a batch of students that somehow feels like we just enter into the big ocean with like huge waves and thundering.
the
So
thunder, the storms.
it's all
together.
our first time. It's our first time together, and we go through a lot of personal development and personal growth. We witness each other's growth as well through our practical sessions that we are required to share our most vulnerable moments, and that all shapes how close we are, even though it's just 2 years, but it really felt like we have known each other for a long time.
So that's actually deepen the relationship, the friendship. I think it's very hard to describe, the friendship that your batchmate actually have? Because it's mentioned that, you know, you share a lot of things together. Yeah, Joy, you want to say something?
Actually, hearing Suwan share about it, so I'm like, quite emotional. Like I was telling her also when we were doing this and we were looking back, I was looking back at photos and digging through photos. Really, and I second what Suwan say, like I echo what Suwan say. There is a kind of bond with the peers that you have, the friends that you've made, you know, in going through that I've made in going through this program, because like I said, it's very experiential, and it's also very we start with self. At least that's how I see it. I start with self. The modules, the way that it was designed in our time, we with the assignment of looking at our lives, it allowed us to be able to glimpse into our own lives and also have a glimpse into one another's lives. And this experience, I didn't know also how much it meant, because at that time, don't know, it's just an assignment. But when after the whole thing and I look back and then you realize that there is something so special about the bond that we have with one another. And this bond and this support and this I don't know, an understanding, it's something that's also it's something that also helps, and it continues to develop even through internship. Like when we are struggling, we struggle together. And you know, like I remember we talked about it also last time, like there's just something that you come in, you don't even need to say anything much. You just yo, and then the other person understands. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely friends. Maybe some people will say it's network, some people will say it's peers, but it is something. It is one other thing that is has really enriched my time here.
Yeah.
And supported me through the whole journey.
Having a bunch of friends that have similar mind, you know, that support one another in this journey. 2 years is actually seems like many years that you mentioned. Okay, then let's we have a question for Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny, what do you think? You know, what are the qualities, you know, that or skill that one needs to have in order to excel in becoming a counselor?
Okay. That is actually a very tough question to kind of like summarizing everything into a few qualities or skills. I guess what I could really think of is also, you know, you have to go back to what we actually define excel in that field as well. I think from my understanding of the questions or interpreting on excel, it might not be the popular persons in our field. So some people can be really well known in the industry, but you know, it just depends how people define as excel. So for me, I think to develop to, you know, be excel in our field or counseling, I think is someone that who able to provide effective counseling to a person and help a person to either grow or overcome some of the challenge. So that's how I define excel. So for me, eventually, if let's say we continue to develop, I would say most of the counselor will be able to excel in our industry. So what I trying to put everything into it, and I was like, what I could come out is probably three things. One is empathy, which is not sympathy. We don't pity. We don't feel, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm there. I wish. It's not sympathy, but empathy, where you actually being resonate or attune. My student will hate me using this word because they keep hearing me talking about attunement. But I think that's one of the quality or skills that we need as you know, if you want to excel with it, which you can actually connect yourself. You feel, you know, how your clients feel, but not pity them. So I think there's a difference in that. So empathy will be one of the skills or quality that I think it needed, or it will help a counselor to excel. Second, I think it will be resiliences. I think when it comes to resiliences, it's not only about resilience to the challenge, but also ourselves, and being resilient to help your clients and see your clients fall sometimes. Ideally, we were thinking about providing interventions, and client will be able to grow or overcome the challenge. But I guess sometimes in reality it might not be a smooth sailing process, even we wish that could happen. So I think resiliences on ourselves, that to overcome uncertainty, failure, or sometimes we question ourselves that are we actually applying the right methods or interventions. So I think that resilience have to come within ourselves to help ourselves, and also being resilient to kind of support our clients when they fall as well. So I think resilience was another skills or quality that is important. I think the last one will be acceptance. Accept ourselves as who we are, as a human as well. Sometimes we put a lot of responsibility and pressure, expectations on ourselves that we have to be there to help a person. It's our responsibility. If let's say client fall, it's our, we tend to blame ourselves. Sometimes we forget that we also as a human, so the acceptance, I think, is a quality that we have to kind of embrace it throughout the process. Embrace that we are humans, accept that we are humans, accept our clients as who they are, accept that we all have weaknesses and also strength. Yeah, so I'm trying to just put into this tree that I think it will be important. And if let's say we treasures and harvest these three quality or skills, I think all counselors will be able to excel in our field. Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Tony, for the three tips.
Okay.
Empathy, resilient, acceptance.
Yep.
Yeah, as you're saying, I also relates back with what Joy and Suan have also just mentioned. That's where they have the practices, attunement with the client, resiliency. They have mentioned there's a lot of work need to be done now in
Yeah.
the program itself. Okay, then they actually get to accept their past life experience, and they also relook at the past life experiences as well. Yes. So that helps them, part in becoming a better counselor then.
Yeah, I think it's part of the training in the program, I guess.
Yeah. All right. And then also we have heard about Joy and Suwan experience when they undergo the training. Can I also come back to you, Miss Kenny? What are some of the challenges, as you are in the initial phase when you're starting a career as a counselor?
Okay. I think I will be having a unique experience where I think Dr. Fu, you as well, like we experience ourselves, and then now we are trying to be part of it to kind of share that experience. I think at my experience when I was a student, I guess the challenge will be a lot of, I guess, to certain levels, a glimpse of uncertainty. I guess the uncertainty is not about the career or not sure about whether I'm going to be a counselor, but I guess the uncertainty coming from am I applying it correctly? Am I actually, or which intervention should I apply? Which theory should I apply? So I think that uncertainty coming in, in my studies phase, I think self-doubt, a lot of reflections, experiencing, and then which is why I guess it kind of open up the perceptions as well. So I guess that leads to a little bit of confusion. It's like, okay, so how am I going to deal with this? Like, oh, I'm more aware of my feelings. So what am I going to do with that? So I guess that is some of the challenge that I see in my experience.
But what about, is that the experience still continues, in your early career as a counselor?
I guess some of them they carry. I guess but it's a different kind of confused. I guess in like before graduate, or when I'm studying the Master of Counseling, I guess the confusion coming from a little bit panicking, am I doing the right things? Am I applying the skills correctly? But after graduate, you sort of build up a confidence or knowing that, okay, I'm applying certain skills correctly, ethically. I think after, at the beginning of my career, the confusions comes in from there are different theories. And then how am I going to choose the theory which suitable in my career? I guess when I'm studying, I still have supervisors to kind of, lay back, just turn back and seek for their help. But I guess when you go into the career itself, it really depends on which population that you are serving. So I guess the confusion is from there where, okay, now I'm dealing with the different populations, so, what skills or what could be more effective in applying to a specific population. So I guess, yeah. So the confusion is there, but I guess it's different things that I'm confused about, I guess.
Different thing that you're considering, taken into more perspective itself. Yeah. Okay. Then how do you stay up to date with, what's the latest development in counseling?
I guess learning. I guess that's the things that I guess how am I going to keep in I guess doing a little bit self-developing, learning, studying, reading books. So that's where it keeps me understanding and develop in this career, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so learning and keep learning.
Yeah.
What about for Joy and Suwan? How do you see yourself, in terms of the continuous learning in the field itself?
I believe being in the mental health field is always a continuous learning journey because we are dealing with human being, right? And if you look outside, a group of humans will form a society, and society shapes culture, and culture develop across time. So with continuous learning and improve our skill sets by attending professional workshops and learn new approach towards different cases, and that is when we can assure that we are always occupied with enough tools to help the clients. So this is my opinions on the continuous learning.
You have mentioned about the tool also, that you're using. Is there any particular tools that you particularly highlight or recommended for those who are interested, or for your junior or the new trainee, that you find it that's very helpful?
So for me, throughout my studies, I am very exposed to different kind of approach, and throughout our assessment as well, in-course assessment, we have to use it on ourselves first before we can conduct it on on our clients. So for me, I feel very connected to utilizing creative interventions such as art and cards and some of the techniques we use in expressive art, because I feel a lot of deeper meaning from my own personal experience with this approach. That's why I would prefer to use it on my clients as well. But of course, this also depends on the client's interest. And if I, during my sessions, if I see that my clients might not be suitable, or they might not prefer to use art, so maybe I should also shift to another kind of approach. So it has to be flexible. You cannot just hold on one thing for everyone. Yeah. So which is why I think continuous learning is very important.
So so you're flexible in terms of the approaches that you're saying, and then among the tools that you recommended, you're saying that creative, actually, I remember it's just not actually non-intrusive. It's something that more close or in touch with the client themselves. Yeah, but at the same time, you also have some other backup plans, that would be really connected to the client as well. Thank you, Suwan. What about you, Joy?
For me, I think being at the start, there's like Mr. Kenny say, when you start a career, there's a lot of second guessing, and also definitely continuous learning is learning post graduation is definitely something that I intend to do. And also from what I hear from all my lecturers, because being new, we're like, oh, we're so we will feed back to the supervisors, like we're always second guessing ourselves. I'm second guessing myself. I don't feel confident. And then my supervisors, who are very experienced, will say things like, don't worry, I've been 20 years in the industry and I also am not confident. Sometimes I also have times where I don't know what I'm doing. So, and I think actually that this, and I thought about it, I think that this position of wondering whether we are doing right by the client, whether we are doing our best, whether we are using the right approach, whether I'm using the right approach. I think this is a very good position to take. I think it comes from a place of care. It comes from a place of wanting to do well. And from the start of wanting to get rid of this feeling, now, I see that, there is a place and a purpose for this feeling. I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but it can push me in the right direction. Yeah, so definitely I would like to keep learning and keep attending courses, but I'm also very aware that it costs a lot of money. So that's the realistic consideration. So if there can be more free courses, that'd be great. That aside, I also know that there are groups like Facebook groups, there are WhatsApp groups. There is this like a WhatsApp group, Budding Counselors Unite, where they actually share if there are courses, there are things, if there are even like looking for counselors or positions, there is that support there. Yeah, there is that network there. And then also on Facebook, there is this Psychology and Counseling Malaysia peer group, something like that, something along that lines, that name. Yeah, and they also share courses, and also that is how at least I try to keep abreast. And also I know like recently, like I've looked around some of these centers, also they have their own courses. Yeah, so that's how I try to at least know what's happening, where I can learn, what is available. And then after that, I will check with my purse to see what I can afford. Yeah.
So the resources are there, of course, if there's free resources, then that's something that would be helpful because of, the more on different approach or knowledge is there as well.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned about networking with others, because I seems like you're aware a lot, different Facebook page, that keeping connection itself with others seems that actually helpful in terms of the professional line as well.
I wouldn't say that I actively network. I really don't. I'm there, but I would say I keep an eye out. Yeah, but also I think keeping in touch with peers, and also I get to hear a lot also from the lecturers. Yeah, still being able to keep in touch with lecturers. I also get they will share these informations. We have our own cohort group. Yeah, so keeping in touch with your peers that are in the field, yeah, that's also very helpful. And very sharing, I guess, at the end of the day. Everybody tries to like share. That's what I noticed lah.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Okay, we have some question from the audience. Okay, let me quickly ask some of this. Maybe I can post this to Suvan and Joy. So in your opinion, do you think that fresh grad going into master or work a few years first, then only come master would be better?
If you ask me, I think this depends on whether you already have a goal that you wish to achieve. Like imagine 10 years later, who do you wish to become? Would you still prefer to be in mental health field or some other places? I'm not sure. But for me, because I entered this program without a very clear goal yet, I was still exploring throughout the process. And maybe fortunately, I did find a purpose at the end of the day. So that is my experience. And some of my peers from psychology graduate, they also continued study after working for some time. Maybe because of waiting for the openings as well, or maybe they are still wondering which course to take. But most of my undergraduate peers did took a time break before they enroll into masters. But in my masters peers group, there are some they actually directly enter into masters. So I think that depends on whether you have found what you really like and the financial consideration as well. So about Joy, do you have any inputs on that?
Yeah, I agree with Sue, and I think it depends on your exploration, where you are with your journey, I guess, your exploration, whether you feel like you want to or you're ready to commit. Because studying, I mean, it is a long time, it is 2 years. And whether you feel you are prepared to commit the next 2 years to studying again and pursuing this, yeah, or whether you feel like you want to experience something else because you're not quite settled, or you are not sure yet, or you're not sure enough to want to commit the next 2 years. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, it's depends on your exploration. I want to say you can talk to a counselor about this. Yeah. And also what Suwan said, there are some very what do you call that, realistic considerations like money, like time, and also I think also maybe having the conversation, like if you want to study or if you want to work, having that conversation with the people around you, the family around you. Yeah, I think that might help make you feel supported in your decision. At least that was in my experience.
Yeah, to add on from Joy, actually some of our peers that graduated together with us, they didn't really continue in becoming a counselor. But what I want to say is this course is not just help you to shape you to become a counselor, but it's a lot of human skills that is involved, helping you to try and understand people's mind and how to be able to understand them in a deeper sense that you can provide certain support to them. So it actually can be implemented everywhere as long as your job needs to deal with humans. So it doesn't necessarily that you need to become a counselor to make this master worthy one. Yeah, it can be used in many other places as well.
Okay, thank you, Joy and Suwan. So the second question now, what's the most challenging time being a counselor or studying counseling? When you're studying, what's the most challenging one?
I can go first, then you can add on. What's the most challenging? I can tell you what I found challenging.
Sorry, I was about to say something.
Oh, okay. Go
Hi.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm one of the audience. I think the most challenging is to deal with a fierce lecturer, right?
That was Dr. Teo. She was our lecturer, and she is the fierce lecturer.
Hello.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Teo, for coming in. Dr. Teo is our program director for Master of Counseling program. Yeah.
Can already tell Dr.
Yes.
Teo has very high level of self-awareness. Yeah. Okay. So so what was challenging for me was a few things that were challenging. I think coming from a non-mental health background, everything was so new to me. So, and it's a 2-year course. So there was the experience of trying to understand and trying to make sense of everything and trying to incorporate, I guess during internship or in your assignments, trying to incorporate the concepts that you learn, the theories that you learn in your assignments while not quite yet understanding it. Or maybe, not realizing that you haven't quite understood it. Then, or you only understand it at surface level. But then as you, you go through and as you progress, your understanding changes, it deepens as well. Yeah, so it's all, I guess, in due process. I think that's one. Another thing was time management. There was a lot of coursework, at least in our first batch. It was quite a lot of coursework, and it required a lot of time to, I guess, how do I put it? To, I guess, reflect, because these are philosophies, they are theories, and it's not so quickly understood, nor can it be something that's memorized. Yeah, it needs to be uncovered. The learnings and understandings need to be uncovered. You need to spend time with it and kind of like sit with it. Yeah. And then in a very practical way, time management to manage, because I was also working freelance. Yeah. And then maybe I pass the time to Suwan, see whether she got anything to add first.
If you ask me what's most challenging in my whole 2 years, I think at the beginning of the program, right? The most challenging part is to really look internally into ourselves, and because we always need to understand ourselves first before we can help others to do that. That's my beliefs, and I feel it in myself as well. And to look internally, meaning that you need to understand your own perspective towards things and your past even, and towards certain lens or certain perspective that might not be serving you well, how you can realize your own blind spot in life, and maybe help yourself to shift or allow alternative perspective into your own decision making. And this is all a lot about how to deal with ourselves, and this takes time, and this is something very new to me as well. It's because usually in our daily life, sometimes we won't even question our own decision, right? So involving all this, identifying our own blind spot and even confront the lens that is not serving us well, it takes a lot of brave and trust towards yourself, and also towards the peers that are there to share or to hear about all the things that is going through internally. And something that is challenging for me at the beginning, but as time goes by, as more practice was being done, I would say we are getting more familiar with it, and we are okay to do that, to be comfortable being in uncomfortable situation. It all shapes us who we are, and I believe the uncomfort feeling is a sign of growth already. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We have a few more questions coming up. So, to Mr. Kenny, there are questions that asking whether this program can be studied part-time.
Yes. So in short, yes. Then yeah, I don't know whether it requires further elaborations. I think
And then,
Yeah, so there is options for part-times, which you will be expecting a little bit longer than full-time. So you are looking into about 4 years. So that if you want to know more, I guess you can reach out to our admission teams. They will give you more details in terms of the planning as well. Yeah, in short, yes.
Okay. And then what is the study schedule like?
Schedules, do you like, okay, I wouldn't sure what it means by the schedules. So I'm assuming that you are looking into the when is the classes. So I assume it's that. So if let's say your questions is about when you will be having the classes. So most of our classes are actually on evening. All right. So it actually depends on the pathway that you chose. So either you are going for full-time or part-time, there will be slightly difference in terms of the schedule. So again, I think these will be those questions that I think admission teams will really able to give you a more details on that lah.
So they can refer to the admission teams as
Yeah,
well. Lah.
yeah.
And it is programmed for international student as well.
Yes,
Master.
yes. There will be probably a little bit difference in terms of the admissions or the documents needed. So yeah, I think our beloved admission teams will guide you through. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then we can take 2 more here. So do counselor need to register to work as counselor?
Yes. In short, yes. Also, so you have to register with Lembaga Counsellor Malaysia. If let's say you are practicing in Malaysia.
Okay.
I think there's a question on the difference between counseling and clinical psychology.
Yes, that's also a counselor
Oh, okay.
question.
Did
Yeah.
that answer already?
Not yet.
Okay, okay.
Mr. Kenny will take the question, the difference between counseling and clinical psychology.
Can I think that is the popular questions that a lot of them will be asking. I guess I'll try to make it short and just to hope that we can cover most of the questions as much as we can. I guess in short is the natures of the job or the profession itself. So if you look at counseling, you will be actually emphasizing a lot in terms of the interventions part, the human developments, not so much on the diagnosis. When we talk about diagnosis, we are talking about like mental health disorders. So if you're looking into learning more about diagnosing, differentiating diagnosis A and B, for example, major depressions disorders and bipolar disorders. So that will be more in terms of the syllabus or subjects that you will be learning in the Master of Clinical Psychology to differentiate, to understand the differences. Whereas if you're looking into counseling programs, we're more emphasizing on the skills, the practical skills, and also focusing more in terms of interventions. One of the differences you can look into the module is the career as well. So in Master of Counseling, you will be also being exposed in terms of career guidance, career pathway, which you will not be able to learn in the Master of Clinical Psychology. So yep, in short, those are the main differences that I can share with you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Let's take the last question, yeah. Maybe Joy as well can answer this. Your workload. How's the workload like?
I can start. And maybe I can relate this to the part-time, full-time question. I know there's a question, there are quite a lot of questions about it. Myself, I'm a full-timer, but we did enroll, our batch did have part-timer students. So majority of our part-timer students are working adults. Yeah, they still have a job and majority of them are there. And what I can observe at least, or what I can tell you, so for full-timers, we have 5 subjects, correct, Suan? Right, 5 subjects, right? And what that means to the schedule is We have 4 days in a week where we have night classes in the evening, that's from 7 to 9. And then on Saturdays, it's a full day of tutorial, which is our practicals on Saturday. So from like maybe 9 to 6 or 8 to 5, something like that. So that is what you can expect in the day, in your days in a week. And then for part-timers, they have 2 subjects, right? Yeah, they have 2 subjects. And what that means is, if I've not mistaken, 2 days. 2 days of night classes, 2 to 3 days of night classes. And then on Saturdays, they come in for half the day. Yeah, for the tutorials. And in terms of workload, if you are working, and I think this one, I think maybe Dr. Teo or Dr. Fu or Mr. Kenny can share. In my batch, for the full-timers, we didn't have a working adult, working in the sense where you have a 9 to 5 job, you have to go into the office every day. We didn't have that. And for me, myself, I can't imagine myself doing that. Yeah. And managing the workload. I can't imagine myself doing it. I can't imagine myself being able to carry it out loud. But yeah, but I think there was somebody in a later batch that is able to manage it. Yeah, so it's just a bit more difficult. In terms of workload, there are seasons, like as in like maybe at the start, the assignment deadline is not there yet. Then towards the end, you know, there's more assignment deadlines, but it is manageable. Yeah.
For my
Yes, Suwen?
For my experience, in terms of the workload, right? Because our semester was arranged in a way that we start with more theoretical based learning first, and then slowly we go into more practical work. So I would say the assignments are more heavily arranged towards the beginning, and to understand, and it is also the assignments that help us to, you know, be trained to reflect on ourselves, and that will be mostly in the beginning phase, and then towards the second year, it's mostly about practicum and our internship. So that will be a more practical way of assessment instead of the written assignment.
Okay, thank you. So is that the additional from Dr. Teo?
Sorry, yeah, I think I'd like to say something about workload. Yeah, I think, yeah, considering full-time, part-time is really a big thing, and also you have to see different stage of life. If your child or your children are younger, maybe it'll be very, very taxing if you are, you know, doing it full-time. Yeah, so you have to also consider what kind of support you have also. If let's say you have all sets of like parents-in-law, parents staying nearby, then maybe, you know, you can have the luxury to have a lot of support, you know. But if you are juggling children, family, then work full-time, then full-time study by yourself or only with your husband, then it can be quite taxing. Yeah, so you want to consider those factors also, and also the demand of your job. Yeah, so I would encourage students actually to, it's only 2 years full-time. Yeah, if you really want to learn, immerse yourself fully 2 years. Yeah, because a lot of reading actually, you know, you do not just come here, just sweep by like that, you know. So I think, yeah, really consider. If you want to take it easy, I mean, a lot of full-timers, they actually enjoy taking 2 classes, and, you know, slowly taking the time. Yeah. Okay. I think there's also
I think that's
international.
yeah, the face-to-face lecture.
Can I say something on the international students? Yeah, can I go to the question? When will international get to know whether? Okay, you have to go through the interview first. Yeah, so you have to act fast if you want to enroll into this cohort this coming September, because it will take you about a month to get your document ready. Yeah, so quickly contact our admission and submit your document so that we can arrange for interview, for you to have interview. Then you need to at least a month to prepare a document, yeah, for international applicants.
Okay. Maybe Dr. Teo or Mr. Kenny to add on the online classes, face-to-face classes. Last thing, are all the time classes full-time or online? And then how is the traffic?
Okay, traffic is bad lah everywhere in KL, yeah. So, so that's a reality, yeah. And okay, if let's say you take full time, you take 5 classes, yeah, 5 courses. That means Monday to Friday night, 6:15 till 9:30, you'll be having classes. So this is how it is. And the good thing about this is it will free up your weekends. Yeah, so you weekends you can do your things, yeah. Yeah, so that's a good thing. Some students actually have feedback that, oh, this is a good thing. They can free up their weekends. Yeah. But just be mindful that if you are full-time student, whole 1 to 5, yeah, Monday to Friday is all classes. Yeah. Then, yeah, because it is a requirement by LKM that all our classes have to be face-to-face in coming cohort. Yeah. Yeah, so traffic will be bad. Yeah, so maybe, you can like work with your boss or your bosses to see whether you can come to IMU earlier. We have a very nice library and we have a lot of nice corners you can sit around to do your homework discussion with your group mates. Yeah, just now we're talking some question on assignment. We have a lot of group assignment as well. Yeah, so also you might want to allocate time for group assignment discussion. Yeah. Okay, anything, Mr. Kenny, want to add on?
Yeah, I think I echo what Dr. T have shared with you guys also. So the classes you will be expecting face to face. I think they are moving all towards face to face. So to answer your questions, you probably want to prepare yourself to expecting all the classes are face to face. So full time, yep, you're expecting 5 days. And then I guess one of the beauty about evening classes is that you probably will struggle a little bit on coming to the campus, but I think you don't have to fight the parking with others people, when during daytimes you probably have a lot of people actually have parking difficulty, but evening classes you usually don't have the problems. And yeah, we have parking as well. Yep.
Yeah, and also parking after 6 is free.
Yep.
Basement parking. Yeah.
Dr.
Yeah.
Teo, sorry, can I just clarify, because I think just now I shared maybe outdated information about Saturday tutorial. So does that mean that Saturdays they are free already? It's just Monday to Friday? I see. Okay.
Our class is 6:15 to 7:15 lecture, then 15 minutes break, then 7:30 to 9:30 practical classes right away. This is how it is. Yeah, so 3 hours in between 15 minutes break. Yeah, so and we are trying to make the class interesting, yeah, so that you stay awake. Yeah. Yeah, so yes, and yeah. But it depends lah, yeah. So probably you want to grab a dinner or something, nearby here. So yeah. So yeah.
Yep. We have eatery nearby our campus as well.
Yeah. And also what I say and also when you come to your practicum, you might have to come to IMU to see clients. So that is where you'll be busy over weekends. So maybe for the first 2 semester, okay, weekend you still have some time. Yeah, but when it comes to practicum internship, that's where you'll be busy with weekends. Yeah. So
I guess the audience, they are very, very interested to know more about the program details of ours. Sorry that I have taken the time off slightly off, but if you're interested, you can actually write into the admission department, and then they can send you a link to actually register for our upcoming Meet the Faculty sessions, which is going to happen on 5th of August, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. So that's what's for that. So again, thank you very much to everyone. We are reaching the end of this talk. And then thank you again to Mr. Kenny, Mr. Suvan, and Joy, and Miss Joy. So love to hear your experience. I guess your sharing actually sparked that interest to actually learn more, to know more about the journey of becoming the counselor. Yeah. Okay, so again, also to the audience, thank you very much. We appreciate your presence for this talk. Thank you so much for your question, and yeah, we get back to you on this. So if you want to know more information, then you have seen in the chat that's actually posted in the chat as well. You can get the brochure, and alternatively, you can join our meet the faculty sessions. Yeah, okay, you can write into the admission team for the link of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Fu. Thank you for those who are joining as well.